25 years ago, the Americans with Disabilities Act was signed into law to bring equality and accessibility for the disabled. As special events are planned to mark the anniversary, it is apparent that while the ADA has brought about major improvements for millions of Americans, many issues remain for the physically and mentally disabled.
Every day is a challenge for Jacob Hill, but you get the feeling he likes it that way. Jacob played football in high school and was a power lifter, and then his body started doing strange things.
Started limping, falling down for no reason, and I just thought I was out of shape.
But his condition got worse. It may sound strange, but Jacob and his family were relieved when the doctors figured out what was wrong.
That's when I was diagnosed with MS. I think my dad and I were the happiest two people in the world to find out that I just had MS, because we thought it was something more severe. But I mean, as you just have to continue. You take one day at a time.
Jacob, like many others who are disabled, was struggling to find help. That's when he found the Oklahoma Office of Disability Concerns.
And when I first got here, one of the first things I did was go out and look to see how many groups help. And I sat down and just started collecting information, and I identified 25,000 agencies, groups, nonprofits, places that could help people.
Doug McMillan is director of the Office of Disability Concerns. He hired Jacob, who now works there as a disability programs specialist, helping others to get the help they need to have a successful life.
There's about 580,000 Oklahomans that have said that they have a disability as part of the census's community survey. Of the 580,000, about 379,000 are working age, and only half of them are working.
McMillan says that is concerning because of the value of work, not only from income, but how it gives meaning to life.
So that's one of our other missions, is to help people understand what it takes to get back into working. And that could be navigating the Ticket to Work program with Social Security, or it could be just sitting down and helping them with their interview or resume.
It's those programs that put handicapped people back to work that are a product of the Americans with Disabilities Act. It was back in the early 1970s when a young reporter by the name of Geraldo Rivera found his way into an institution in New York and showed the world how America was treating its disabled.
Had warned me that it would be bad. It was horrible. There was one attendant for perhaps 50 severely and profoundly retarded children.
The horrific conditions inside Willowbrook moved Congress to pass the ADA 25 years ago. Congress also created the Disability Law Centers, which are now located in every state. The law centers are federally funded, and there are 2 offices in Oklahoma, one in Oklahoma City and one in Tulsa. The role of the agency has changed over the years as government institutions have given way to community-based services.
We still do abuse and neglect investigations in facilities, but since there are less state-run facilities, we are now doing more in the private sector.
Joy Turner is a staff attorney at the Disability Law Center in Oklahoma City. There is no charge for their work. Turner says even with all the good the ADA has done for the disabled, the law still has shortcomings. One of the biggest is transportation.
We used to get a lot of calls from people who used wheelchairs who say, I have to ride down the middle of the street. I don't have any access to the sidewalks. That's getting better than it was.
Vicki Golightly is a public information officer for the Oklahoma Library for the Blind and Physically Handicapped. She is blind and knows well the issues Oklahoma has with transportation.
We have a public transportation system in Oklahoma City, and Embark does very well, and they've added some buses and that sort of thing. But there's a long way to go.
Doug McMillan says in addition to transportation issues, there are instances where some businesses still do not understand the rights of the disabled.
They refused to provide service to a female veteran with her service animal. So I wrote them a letter saying, you can't do this. Here's why.
Access to health care is another major problem.
I'll do outreach to doctors. You'd be surprised the number of doctors that won't see somebody with a disability.
McMillan and Golightly also see shortcomings in the law for the disabled who encounter such issues and are left unable to do much about it.
There's not any funding for the act. There's not as much, there's the law, but there's not as much maybe enforcement procedures as there need to be.
And the volume of clients at the disability law centers is proof of how many issues the disabled still face in Oklahoma.
Business is brisk, and I don't think that is what was intended after, our offices being around since 1977. I think they thought they would fund our offices, everyone would be integrated into the society, life would be good, there would be no more problems, but business is brisk.
As it turns out, the Oklahoma House of Representatives and the state Senate have been in violation of the ADA for some time because their live video stream from their chambers, when in session, is not closed captioned. Both bodies have staff working now to find a vendor and determine the costs involved with coming into compliance, possibly as soon as next year.